All right, guys, here we go. Got another video for you. This time we're going to dive into chapter 6. And for section 1, we're going to be analyzing translations. So first, we're going to review what we should know before we dive into this chapter. And if you kind of know this stuff already, then hopefully this chapter will be a little bit easier rather than harder as we go through. So let's look at some of these vocabulary terms here first. It says choose the best term from the box to complete each definition. So blank has a sum of 90. So there's a certain type of angles, or two certain type of angles, that whenever you add them and they have a sum of 90, they have a special name. And here we got a word bank, and for the sum of 90, it actually comes out to be complementary angles. So complementary angles. Okay, and I try to think of that as complementary. 90 degrees is what we call a right angle. So if you think of complementary angles, they're just right for each other because they complement each other. Hence making a right angle, because they're just right for each other. I know it's a little dumb, but hey, it works. Something silly like that typically sticks. So we used complementary angles, and the next one says blank share the same ray. For this one, it turns out to be adjacent angles. All right, the next one, number 3, says blank has or are pairs of opposite angles made of intersecting lines. That turns out to be vertical angles. All right, and then obviously number 4, that would be the last word that we have left. So blank has a sum of 180, so that's supplementary. Supplementary angles. All right, so there's your vocabulary there that you should know before we start this chapter. So complementary angles have a sum of 90. Adjacent angles share the same ray. Vertical angles are a pair of opposite angles made by intersecting lines. And then supplementary angles have a sum of 180. All right, and then it says simplify the expression. So here we're just, it says multiplying real numbers. So we just got 5 times 2. That one should be relatively straightforward. 5 times 2 is 10. And then we have 6 times a half. 6 times a half. And you're welcome to use a calculator for this. However, this should be something that you should know how to do. So 6 times a half, all you do is multiply the top number times the whole number. And that's 6 over 2. And 6 over 2 is the same thing as 3. And then you have number 7 that says I have 12 times a third. So 12 times a third is 12 over 3. And if you type 12 over 3 in your calculator, you would get 4. Because 12 divided by 3 is 4. Next one, this tends to be a little bit difficult for children or just students in general, is identifying points on a coordinate plane. But once you learn it, it's and hopefully it sticks, then it's really not that bad. So coordinate points, you always look at x comma y as how they're written. X comma y, where x is where you go left and right first. Tell me how far you went, and then you go up and down for your y. So for instance, if I'm trying to look for point W, if I start here, point W is all the way down here. So I need to go left or right first to get to W. I need to go left a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I would need to go down 1, 2, 3. So left 4 and down 3. That would put me at coordinate point -4, comma, -3. So for W, you would have -4, comma, -3. And then point X, you do the same thing. You start from the center here. You go, this one says I would go left 2 and then up 2. So left 2, so that'd be a negative 2, and then comma, I need to go up 2, so that associates with being a positive number, so that would be negative 2, comma 2. Then you have point Y. Point Y, you would have to go to the right 3, so start from the center, it's called the origin. You go right 3 and up 5. So this is be located at 3, comma 5. 3, comma 5. And then point Z is all the way down here. So we need to go from the origin, need to go left and right, and then up and down to tell me the location of letter Z. So Z, I would have to go right 2 and down 3. So that coordinate point would be 2, comma, negative 3. And then you're done. Finding coordinate points is going to be key, absolutely key to this lesson. And if you can't find a coordinate point, you need to watch that whole part right there all over again and try to find them before I write them, because that is super duper important. I cannot stress enough at how important this is right here. If you cannot do this, you will not make it through this chapter. So you have to learn how to do that if you don't already. Supplementary angles. The angles are supplementary. Find the missing angle measurement. So supplementary, if you recall, we come back up here to our vocabulary. It says supplementary angles have a sum of 180 degrees. So that means that this total angle here has to be 180. So if I already have 30 of it, I need to find this missing piece right here. But if I know the total is 180, couldn't I just take away 130 from that and then I know the missing angle? Because I don't know what this is. So you take the total amount, you subtract what you know, and that's going to give you your missing piece. And that turns out to be 50. So this is 50 degrees. Easy enough. So remember, that's the total minus the angle that you have, and it equals the missing one. Okay, that's for supplementary angles. So we're going to do the same thing over here on number 13. We have a total of 180 because they're supplementary angles. That's what it told us up there in the problem. And I have 139. I need to find this missing piece here. So you need to do 180, which is the total, take away the angle that you have, and that'll give you the one that you're missing. So you got to do 180 minus 139. You should end up with 41. So that means this guy right there is 41 degrees. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the review what you know before we get started. So let's do a few example problems here, and hopefully it doesn't take too terribly long. So it says graph DEF, the image of triangle DEF, after a translation 1 unit to the right and 3 units down. So what you do here is, if you notice, these little guys have these little bitty little markings right above them. That's called D prime, E prime, and F prime. Those are still the same letters, but they are telling you which letter it corresponds to. So like D prime would correlate to letter D, E prime would correlate to letter E, and F prime would correlate to letter F. So what it's asking us to do is to take this original image, translate it, which just means slide. Okay, so this word right here, translation, basically is just a fancy word for slide 1 unit to the right and 3 units to units down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy over this figure here, and then I'm going to drag it 1 unit to the right and then 3 units down, so you can see what I mean by sliding. So we're going to pick this figure up, and so now I have that same picture, right? I'm just moving it, sliding it. That's what I mean by sliding it. Literally, this is a translation. Anywhere I move it, as long as it stays the same shape and doesn't rotate or flip, I'm good. So I got this shape here, and I need to just translate it 1 unit to the right and then 3 units down. So I'm here. Let me erase this part up here because that's throwing it off. So I'm here, and I'd slide 1 unit to the right and then 3 units down. So 1, 2, 3. And this is where my figure would end up. Now you would have to do that same thing, but you would have to do that with each coordinate point. So 1 to the right and 3 units down. 1 unit to the right, 3 units down, 1 unit to the right, and 3 units down. And that's how you would slide that to the new place. So this would be F prime or E prime, this would be F prime, and this would be D prime, because that's what those coordinate points, where they came from. They came from D, they came from E, and they came from F. And you're good to go. Matter of fact, let me change that to a different color so you guys can see that a little better. Hot pink. Yeah, you can't miss it now. All right. So there's a translation. So we went 1 unit to the right, 3 units down. Number 2 says the coordinates of triangle DEF are at 4, 3, 7, 3, and 6, 8. If you translate this figure 4 units to the left and 3 units up, what are the coordinates of F? So if you think 4 units to the left, that would technically be subtracting. And left, if you remember, a coordinate point is always x, y, and the x value associates with left and right, and the y is associated with up and down. Okay? So up would be positive, down would be negative, left would be negative, and right would be positive. So we have D is located at 4, 3. And I left space so I could show you the subtraction or addition to get to the new one. And we have E is at 7, 3. And then you have F is located at 6, 8. And it says you want to translate it 4 units to the left. So that means I'm going to take away 4 from the original X value because we're going left. So left would be subtract, and it says 4 units to the left. So minus 4. Actually, let me do it a different color so y'all can see this here. I'll do hot pink again. So minus 4, minus 4, minus 4. And then it says that I'm also going to go 3 units up. So that's my Y value over here. So as I'm going up, right? Up would be a plus. So I'd put plus however many units it says. And it said 3. And then now I'm going to get a new coordinate point. I'm going to get D prime, E prime, and F prime. And I can actually tell you those coordinate points. So 4 minus 4 is 0. 3 plus 3 is 6. And then E would be 7 take away 4 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 3. And then 3 plus 3 again is 6. And then F prime would be 6 take away 4, which is 2. And then 8 plus 3 is 11. So these would be the new coordinate points for your new triangle. If you had it on a graph, this is where these coordinate points would then end up if you went 4 units to the left and 3 units up. So you can do it with a graph and you can do it without a graph. The expectation is the same. You should be able to do both. All right, number 3, quadrilateral Q prime, R prime, S prime. T prime is the image of the quadrilateral QRST after translation. If the perimeter of QRST is about 12.4 units, what is the perimeter of Q prime, R prime, S prime, T prime? Now don't let that scare you. Perimeter is just the distance all the way around a shape. So the distance all the way around. If you recall, whenever I did problem 1, I literally traced this triangle. I traced it, and then I literally just picked it up and moved it. But I didn't make it any bigger. I didn't make it any longer. I didn't make it any smaller. I kept the image the exact same. So if they're asking what the perimeter is of the new quadrilateral, it would actually be the same because I did not change it whatsoever. All I did was pick it up and slide it. Okay, think of your cell phone, for instance. If you had your cell phone, if you pick it up and move it somewhere else, it didn't change the perimeter of your phone. Your phone didn't magically get bigger or magically get smaller. It stayed the same size. Okay, if you picked up your phone and moved it a little ways over to the other side of the table, it did not change its perimeter. Okay, so the perimeter would be about 12.4 because it is not going to change. It says if the measurement of angle S is 115 degrees, so this guy right here is 115, so that's 115. What is the measurement of S prime? Well, again, the shape did not change. So if S is 115, then S prime is also, you guessed it, 115. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, let's do one more, and I think you should have it by now. All right, so we got quadrilateral W prime, X prime, Y prime, and Z prime as a translation of quadrilateral W, X, Y, Z. Describe the translation. Well, to go from W to W prime, if you just figure out one of them, you know all of them. So let's count it out. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units to the right. So 8 units to the right. And then we need to figure out, after we go 8 units to the right, how far do we go down? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we go 10 units down. And there you go. There's the translation. 8 units to the right, 10 units down. And it's a done deal. That's all I got. So if you guys have any questions on your Math Excel, you're welcome to stop by my room and ask. Otherwise, I think you guys should be able to rock and roll with this. And yeah, if you got any questions, put a comment down below. Hopefully I'll see it. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.